Right. So next up is wrestlers that did better or become better in other companies.
Mm.
What have you got on that?
Robert Roode, Mr. TNA.
Robert Roode.
Yeah, when he's in beer money, I wouldn't take him for what he is now, Mr. Glorious.
To clarify, do we mean once they've left their comfort zone and gone somewhere else, or say like they're somewhere now, but a previous stint they were so much more better?
Well, this at the moment, I'm talking like, say for example, Chris Jericho was in WCW, and he was doing well there. Like people liked him, he was a good wrestler and all that. But when he went to WWE, is when he like elevated and become who he is today, basically. So like someone that's currently in a company or was in a company, but when they moved company, they got a lot bigger and a lot better.
Yeah, I get that.
So
that's the opposite for Robert Roode then.
Yeah, so I mean, I suppose we could have said the same thing, is in a sense of someone that maybe was better in another company than they are now. But at the moment, we're talking, someone that was in a company, but then when they went to another company, they done so much more better, or like got a lot bigger than they was.
I'm gonna use it's like a three-way thing. So they started off at the company, went elsewhere, grinded, obviously worked hard, become a star, went back to the original company, and now he's the world champion of Monday Night Raw.
Okay.
So obviously, when he debuted on SmackDown, he was the chosen one,
and
the only good thing about him then was his theme tune, because he looked like a really youngster with no beard.
He did look probably young,
yeah. When he obviously ended up in 3MB, and he wasn't very like there was more of a comedy act really, which were fun. Don't get me wrong. But then I think when he went to like tour in England and stuff, obviously English fans appreciate him because he's a British wrestler, so to speak.
Yeah.
But he had a great run in TNA, even though I didn't watch it then. I've always heard he had a great run in TNA.
Yeah, it was really good, yeah.
But then he made it back to WWE, and he was booked on NXT like a monster. Made it to Raw, did a little bit with Ziggler, with like his coattail sort of thing. But then the build up to last year's Royal Rumble was brilliant. And last year's Royal Rumble was actually one of my favourites by far because just how it was booked and everything. Brock Lesnar's a massive monster. They even used Ricochet to help Drew McIntyre get the rub, so to speak.
The rub.
And then since then, obviously, it's a real shame he couldn't actually win the title in front of a fan base. But he's had a really good run, and he's still champion at the moment. So I'm going to say Drew McIntyre. Galloway McIntyre.
What about you, George?
See, I can't really, unless you're really going proper obvious. So like, like go stunning Steve Austin and stuff like that. And then he made a name for himself moving up and, during Attitude Era.
That still is someone though, because I mean, some people don't even realize that Stone Cold was in like ECW and WCW before he went to WWE. So people don't realize that's the same person.
Yeah. I mean, that's one. And then I always feel like Bully Ray kind of, you like had the whole like Dudleyville and everything like that. And that was massive. But, I feel like he's still gone strength to strength, making his own way. He's kind of leaving that whole Dudley persona, and he's still going like hard at it.
Are we talking sort of like, so when he left WWE as like the Dudley Boys and then becomes sort of like a singles wrestler as Bully Ray in TNA and then sort of done the whole Ace and Eights things, he kind of took it upon himself to like elevate himself, which I think that one was really good.
Yeah.
To be honest.
I feel like
he's a solid performer. Solid performer. He's good on the mic, he's a great tag team in the, go down in like the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
But the guy still, he's a workhorse. He's just on and on, Yeah.
Is he still wrestling now?
Yeah.
He is. I think he's doing like independent stuff and some other little companies, but he's still about on and off.
Yeah.
It would have been cool to come out on Cody's open challenge for the TNT title at one time.
Yeah,
I love it.
You even thought of that. That would have been cool.
Definitely,
I feel like he's still got it in him,
as I said, there's a lot of people that have gone from company to company and said like some have done better in other companies than same like what you were saying a minute ago, like with Drew McIntyre, even though he did start off in WWE and go to TNA, he still had a good run in TNA, but it kind of elevated him and then he's come back to WWE and made it even bigger. Same with like Christian, he left WWE. It was obviously mainly a tag wrestler with obviously Edge, people know, and his little thing with the Brood, a little bit of a solo thing. But when he went to TNA, was it Christian Cage? He had a really good run and elevated him big time then. And then when he come back to WWE, again, kind of was like another big star. So he's done well for himself. I mean, a couple of one I put down is said like people like Chris Jericho, Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio. They all started off, even like Chris Benoit, Dean Malenko. They all started off in like WCW, elevating their careers even before that. Doing really well, but there was always kind of mid-card wrestlers to an extent to some of the bigger names. And then as soon as that company got brought out and they went into WWE, like all their careers just elevated like tenfold. Like they just got such big stars, you know, sort of all gone the way. I mean, Eddie had his good run. Rey Mysterio's had countless championships and different storylines, you know, with being a tag partner with Batista, all stuff like that. Cody Rhodes, someone's more recent, like I always feel that in WWE kind of got a bit buried. He was always like undershadowed. He had a big name up there because of who he was, like being the son of like Dustin Rhodes, but come like sort of his little run in Ring of Honor and then coming to AEW, whether you like him or hate him, I think his career is now sort of where it should be. Like he deserves to be in that point because he's worked hard for it.
Yeah.
So and then I mean the list goes on. I think as you were saying earlier though, some people that have maybe been in a company and not done so well is, I suppose it's hard for people to go to WWE because Vince always has like a higher standard of a wrestler. So when they get moved from, say, where it was back in WCW, ECW, wherever they've come from, whenever they go into maybe NXT first of all, and then come up to Raw. And there's these big names, big stars, good wrestlers, but then they just kind of get buried or used to job for other people because, you know, they're not quite what Vince sees as, you know, that wrestler. Like he's not the next Triple H, he's not the next Flair, he's not the next, you know, big superstar, but I mean at the moment it's like Roman Reigns, which love him or hate him, like he's now sort of the face for that company because he's just like that big brute of a dude. But there's so many.
The guy I was thinking of when George said the first question or the first answer when we had to change like the word in the question was EC3.
Yeah.
It was like main event on Impact, right? Obviously, I didn't watch Impact at that sort of time. But then he went to NXT, which I think he had a bit of an okay run, which people do on NXT.
Yeah.
But then when he
for
went
him to be moved up,
when he was moved up, then it was basically irrelevant. I barely see him, which is disappointing for him. But I don't know where he is now. Maybe Ring of Honor.
I think he,
he went back to Impact. I swear he did last week.
I believe he did go to Impact, but I think he's wrestling Ring of Honor as well. So I think he's been between both.
Like free
There's
agent.
a lot of people kind of get that indie company scene where they wrestle in Ring of Honor, but they're in Impact as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, like he's another wrestler, like as you said earlier, like with Rob Roode, like from Beer Money, like even though he's a tag competitor in TNA, like you could not fault Beer Money. They were such good performers. They were good on the mic. They were good crowd pleasers. And then come like did he start off in NXT? Like when he first come to WWE, did he go NXT first? Before he come to Raw? Bobby Roode.
Yeah. He was champion. And he had the great entrances at TakeOver with the glorious theme tune.
Yeah.
Because when he went to SmackDown, didn't they change him to Robert Roode rather than Bobby?
He was saying like that. Yeah, I was just trying to remember which way around it was, like where he started with what sort of like gimmick, and then it kind of changed. But I think either way, he never kind of got that big push as a singles competitor. I was like, again, a big name from another company. People love him, we bring him in, but they changed his character. But then because he's not one of Vince's like top dogs,
he
just gets used to job or just, you know, take the fall all the time. So, but yeah, unfortunately, that's what happens in WWE.
Beer Money at that time, well, TNA, their tag team division was probably the best a tag team division's ever been, maybe. You could argue with the actual era and stuff, but it was really high claims. It was like there were tag teams, but nearly every tag team was strong, rather than the ones you knew were going to go in the match and just go over, sort of thing.
Definitely, yeah. Absolutely. Wrestlers that deserve better. So wrestlers that deserve maybe getting a title shot, bigger push, not basically to use the job, or maybe change their gimmick up to get somewhere. So I'll go first on this one. couple of people I've got down that I was just felt deserved better. I mean, one did have a good gimmick at one point and was doing okay, but just never kind of got to that top. Was Wade Barrett. I quite like Wade Barrett as leader of NXT or the Nexus, group. I thought he had potential. I thought he was quite good on the mic, and then when it came to doing the Bad News Barrett thing, I thought that was really good, but it never kind of got really used in the ring as a wrestler. Like it was more just like that, gimmick of the show. Like they come out and say something, the crowd would get all hyped up, and then he disappear. But I really feel that he could have been elevated. Christopher Masters, I think he was really good. Yeah, again, just kind of got used to job for a lot of people. Never really had like decent title shot or a title run or any good kind of storylines. Also, at the moment, like Kevin Owens and Finn Balor, like I feel that they've got to that sort of top stage, but they just kind of keep floating between the top and the middle. Like they get that push and then come straight back down again. Then they get that push again and come back straight down. But that they deserve to be up the top and keeping it going for a while, I reckon, as current standards in WWE. It always seems to be up and down with them too. I mean, like Kevin Owens is getting a push again, but like Finn Balor's now back down in NXT. He's obviously doing all right over there. But I mean, to go from that to Raw to become champion, get an injury, and then come back down again, and then basically Vince is like, no, I'm done with that, and then go back down to NXT. Like I did prefer him in NXT, but come to Raw, I was like, oh, he's got his shot, he can do better. He had a few pushes, but then they just push him away again because, yeah, again, he's a small guy, and Vince just don't like small guys. So it's just one of them things, unfortunately, but it is what it is, isn't it?
Damn shame.
Damn shame.
Damn
I
shame.
think I went for Cesaro
Yeah.
because he's like a workhorse and he's always putting on fantastic matches. He's over, but he's never really sort of had the rub where he's been like a main event, even on like a pay-per-view or a title match. I know he's been getting a few wins as of late, and then I put Aleister Black because he should be on milk cartons at the moment, and it's a real fucking shame because obviously when he was on NXT, his theme tune, I think I mentioned earlier, his entrance, same I mentioned earlier, great. He's a really good wrestler, and he's someone you could probably get behind, even though he's got a certain look like no one else, which some people may not like, but people could be drawn to it, and he should be doing a lot better. And if he's not being used, just you've got so many other wrestlers there. Just let the guy go so he can do his skill and art elsewhere.
That's another thing that WWE like doing, or mainly Vince. He likes keeping hold of people, but not utilizing them. I mean, I know they sign contracts for how many years kind of thing, but he won't allow them to get out of that contract until it's kind of up. Like that's a clause, like you are there. And I think he does it on purpose sometimes to the extent of like, they're just not happy, they want to go, but then because they're not buying by his rules, they have to come up with some silly gimmick or just job for someone to get paid, or they just don't get no airtime at all. And it's just like they're just stuck there. But yeah, you're right. He's another one. Definitely deserves to go somewhere or get a bigger push, have a title reign.
Yeah, definitely.
I've got a few. Sami Zayn. I feel like he was doing quite big in NXT, wasn't he? And and now he's basically main roster kind of political like character at the moment. Very like one of those people.
There is like
I got Ballard. I know, yeah, I got Ballard down as well. Again, like clearly underutilized in a main roster, so he had felt the need to go back down to NXT, get his chances there. I got Booker T as well, and Chavo Guerrero.
Yeah,
I feel like Chavo was always looked over just because of Eddie. I feel I'm not disputing that Eddie wasn't great at what he'd done, but I feel like Chavo was also like the better wrestler of the two.
Yeah,
he definitely. I feel like he could have really performed more. Booker T, I feel like he just didn't get the chances that he deserved, especially coming up through the different promotions as well. He did have the like all the tags under his belt, and he's got the 5-time champ thing going, and he's got 2-time Hall of Famer. But while he was working, just feel like he didn't get it when he needed it or when he should have had it. But again, it went to like the bigger, people like the Triple H's and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, as I said, like, at the end of WCW's career, like he became champion and like he deserved it. Leading up to that point, he obviously people don't know he was in tag team Harlem Heat with his brother Stevie Ray. They was always kind of on top of their game. Can't fault that was a great tag team because they was amazing. So he had that push in that tag team era. Yeah, come in WCW, he finally got his push that he deserved to become champion. And then obviously WWE brought them out, and then yeah, every year in like WWE, just kind of struggled to get anywhere. Like he was always a main eventer, and he could have been even bigger, but he just never got that big push because yet again, he's another guy from another company. He weren't one of Vince's. He weren't the Triple H, Shawn Michaels, the Takers, all that lot. So I mean, he had the whole King Booker thing going on, but nothing major. Even in TNA, he had a few good matches, but then he kind of got lumbered with main event Mafia, and that was a bit of a mess at one point. I know it was like twice that happened, but just sort of, I suppose, a similar thing of like Scott Steiner and Rick Steiner. I know different story altogether, but like tag teams, can't fault one of the best tag teams of all time. Come single wrestlers, they didn't have much of a push or career or anything going for them. I know there's a lot more story behind that, but yet again, like could have been something bigger, but a lot of problems involved with them too. So never got their.
Well, he could always be a mathematician, can he?
Well, he's great at maths, yeah. Always great at maths, mate. If you need need any advice, you just look up Steiner on YouTube in his mathematical equations. So good. Right. Ood. Currently, what are you guys watching and following when it comes to the wrestling world?
Right, I'll go first. The one show I always actually try and look out for is probably Dynamite. Obviously over here we get it on the ITV Hub player. Probably around 4 days after it is.
Yeah, it's pretty shit, isn't
it? Yeah, it's pretty bad, even though they said it will be better. But they're still getting very good ratings in that over here for it, which is understandably so. There's a nice core base of fans in England. That's the one I always watch out for and actually sit down and watch all the show. With Raw or SmackDown, it's normally just either clips I see on Twitter, Instagram, or even YouTube. I won't sit down and watch Raw for 3 hours or SmackDown for the 4-man. Used to be a follower of Impact back in the day, but obviously over here it's sort of lost on what channel it's on and changes and that. But I do. That's the same with WWE. If clips come up on, especially since the crossover with promotions, I'll look out for some good stuff to see on YouTube or Instagram, Twitter. But I will try and hopefully find the time to get into watching that again. Give it a run since they're on like a bit of a hot streak.
Yeah, currently there's a few places you can get Impact. But I think the best place at the moment is on the 5 Hub or My 5 Hub, when it's under 5-star. It broadcasts. Similar thing to like AEW, like it gets recorded on the Wednesday and 2 or 3 days later it's on there. But that's probably the best place to watch it. So yeah, from future, if you want to start watching, especially with the crossover, as you said, it's getting really good. So, what about you, George?
I'll keep up with the AEW as much as I can, watching it wise, but just because more of the kids and they like the more the characters of that, like SmackDown and Raw. So they do like the Alexa Bliss being all creepy at the moment, and they like the Fiend, and they like they like Drew McIntyre and stuff like that. And I feel it is a bit more kid friendly, and yeah, it's a PG and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a bit hard to watch when it's like 3 hours long. So you do try and hold out for just the shortened down, highlights on a Saturday on Sky One or Channel 5, I think.
I think there's loads of little segment shows of Raw now, like or SmackDown. They're on everything.
Yeah, I used to record the 3-hour show every week, and that was just getting to the point where I just couldn't keep up with it just because of work and like the kids and stuff like that. I was like, there's no way they're going to sit down for 3 hours watching it, so we'll just wait for the highlights and then keep up with that online.
Yeah,
as I said, I'll try and keep up with AEW as much as I can when there's like no one in the house, so I can just watch that and just focus on that by myself. Impact I could try and get into a bit more. Now you said it's on the 5 Hub, but I know if you own Amazon Fire Stick, Impact have their own app as well. So I don't know if it's the same case of like the WWE networks where you got like the old any old matches you could go back as well. So I don't know if it's just a weekly thing on there. There must
Okay,
be
yeah.
more to it.
That's
I'm not
pretty good, yeah.
much into it, yeah. So, but then there's also, I think there's another promotion playing on Roku. I'm not sure, and I know that's on the Now TV stick Roku.
Yeah, because I think
But
that's
I'm not-
where they're trying to get the New Japan over, aren't they? To broadcast
Yeah,
over on that
yeah,
Roku.
that's it. Yeah, so I might try and give that a chance, see if that's on. Get that Roku and try and check that out, see if that's on there.
Definitely, yeah.
So, and then with all the mergers at the moment, with the Impact in New Japan and AEW, I feel like it'd be a lot more. I could just jump into a New Japan,
Yeah,
you know, see some familiar faces, and I'd be like, oh, okay, then, and then gather a little following from there. But yeah, that's it, really. Yeah, that's it.
good stuff. Yeah, I'm pretty much the same. So at the moment, my main two are Impact and AEW. Obviously, been watching AEW since the start because again, new promotion. Obviously, a lot of buzz behind it. Obviously, it could have gone anywhere. It could have failed within a month or two, or it could have obviously got as big as it is now. So that there was no different outcome of how that could have gone. But I think on point, tag team wrestling that is so good. I mean, the storylines have been pretty good. They've had their ups and downs, but just in general, really fun to watch. Really good show. A lot of up and comers in there, a lot of old faces, but like people that haven't been used as much now, and they're kind of getting utilized in now. Used to watch Impact all the time. Kind of sort of stopped watching it for a while, but probably within the last 4 or 5 months now, I've been getting back and watching to that, and it's getting really good with the whole merger. So keeping up with Impact. Same as you guys with Raw and SmackDown. Like I've fallen out of love with WWE for the longest time, but I barely watch it unless something really exciting happens or something I'm interested in. But I'll always keep up to date with it, as I said, on the Twitter, the Instagram, even the YouTube vids of just what's gone down, see what's happening in that world. New Japan, I mean, it's again, because being in the UK, watching Ring of Honor and New Japan is just really hard to sort of like get hold of. If anyone out there knows somewhere to like watch it of ease, let us know. But with New Japan, I'll just try and keep with the big events like the Wrestle Kingdoms and stuff like that, because you get a lot of good crossovers, a lot of good matches. And same with Ring of Honor, like I follow that on social media and watch what they've got on YouTube, because of people like Jay Lethal's still there, and he's like one of my favorite wrestlers, and like he's doing really well. Just keep up to date with it, but again, can't really watch it show to show because unfortunately it's not as easy to get hold of over in the UK. But yeah, that's where we're at with that. Oh, I try and catch NXT every now and again, like as you said, Jake, like the takeovers and stuff. The pay-per-views are really solid. Again, just for the weekly shows, just keep up to date with it on social media and YouTube. But like as for like the main events, always normally watch them because they always come out to be proper top tier.
Yeah,
proper good stuff.
I don't know if either you saw. I don't know if it was last week or this week, but they always do the rundown of the ratings, and clearly AEW always comes out on top every Wednesday, and then they've gone and said WWE is the one company that always makes most views and visits and clicks and likes and whatever through social media, and I can see why. Just because no one can either be bothered to sit through 3 hours to deal with the amount of crap content and good content there is each episode. So what's the point sitting through it when you can just watch 20-second clip of like Nia Jax falling on her ass?
Exactly. Yeah.
Like,
it's a lot to take in. Like 3 hours of Raw. I mean, half of it's full of fucking shit, and then you've got like an hour or 2 hours, hour and a half, 2 hours of SmackDown. It's just so much to sort of take in as well. But yeah, half of it's just like, I mean, they come out, they talk promo for like half hour, then they finally get a match in there, and then before that match has happened, you're like bored of it, and then like you're waiting for the one thing that don't happen, and when it does happen, you kind of get let down anyway. And it's just like, why am I watching this still? That's just my personal opinion, but I think a lot of people are in the same boat. Is all the the chats out online, people what they reckon of it. What a world. So currently, as what you're watching, about some of your favorite wrestlers now, favorite tag teams, pay-per-views or matches currently on what you're watching now or have been for the last few months or so. Let me think.
Now, I feel like with the introduction of AEW, and now like they've had a massive coming up 2 years. Gotta be in it. Something like
Almost,
that.
yeah.
I feel like, as you said, they've got such great tag team matches going on, like with the likes of Jungle Express and stuff like that. No, Jurassic, whatever.
Yeah, Jurassic Express.
Jungle Book. Yeah,
you're right.
with you got a massive powerhouse and a technical guy there. You got Santana Ortiz. I'd love to see Hangman Page. You know, I feel like he's a massive. I could see him as like a new Stone Cold.
Yeah, I see
You know,
that.
the character, but then someone that can wrestle as well. The character's great. His attitude, his acting, his performance, and everything is great. Yeah. I feel like WWE side there isn't a lot just because they're not given the chances, so I can't really see anyone new really making it. Again, like maybe, yeah, I like Otis. He's moved up from NXT, but I feel like I like him more of the character and feel like he's a bit of an underdog. Yeah, he's like built like a brick house, but is that why I like him? Just because he's like a big funny guy? I don't know.
I think that does happen a lot, doesn't it? You kind of like get attached to someone just because of their like silly gimmick kind of thing. I mean, like they could be good wrestlers, they could be bad wrestlers, but just their gimmick alone or what they're on the mic and stuff like that. Sometimes that's what you watch it for as well. Like it's a nice mix up. Like you watch some people for the matches, they're wrestling the talent. You watch other people for their silly gimmicks or like their promos or like what they're like on the mic and stuff. So bit of a mixed match on that one, yeah.
Yeah. The only other two I can really think of in WWE is like Ricochet. I can see him be like another Rey Mysterio kind of scrappy little technical guy, high flying little fella. And I think they dropped the ball on Mustafa Ali.
Yeah.
I feel like he was in the same boat as Ricochet. But, again, now he's put into this, whatever faction he wants to call it. I don't know.
Yeah, I know what you mean, yeah.
And I don't know what's going on with him because he was clearly a good performer. Like he could go against the biggest guys and run rings around them. But they're the only two I could really think of from WWE.
The WWE.
Yeah.
What about you, Jake?
With Dynamite, I'd say Ray Phoenix. I'd like to see more and more of Ray Phoenix. Every time I watch him, it seems to be getting better and better. So I wasn't a massive, I wouldn't say fan, but I didn't know much of him before he came to Dynamite. So when the Lucha Bros had their first few matches with the Young Bucks in the ladder match and stuff like that, I thought it was brilliant. I like the new tag team, The Acclaimed, on Dynamite. They come out rapping. Well, one of them does. That's fun. Adam Page, like George said, I think he will end up being a main event star. I think he's primed to. They're going to... Obviously, I'd like to say that he'd be able to capture it when there's a full crowd there, but we don't know when that will be. So
that still could be like middle of the year, end of the year, couldn't it?
Yeah. So, but with WWE, like I think Ricochet could be used a hell of a lot better. In regards to, I know he helped eliminate Brock Lesnar at last year's Rumble, but since then he's done nothing since, and he's not been used at all, really. I think since the pandemic, the pluses of WWE has probably been McIntyre, Sasha Banks, and Bayley. And I do like Roman Reigns' gig as the head of the table on SmackDown as a heel, rather than
the tribal chief.
His face. Yeah. And Jey Uso, even he's becoming more of a main event star. And Kevin Owens, as of late, last 2 to 3 months maybe, he's always been a main event star in my eyes, and especially on NXT as well. He's like a killer, so to speak.
Yeah.
But he's always had the doubting where they have a main event match, and the week after he's wrestling someone from main event or something like that. It's not been consistent. But now he seems like he's performing and he should be where he's at in the main event.
I get that, yeah.
What about yourself?